They are imposing their radical agenda on Australia and are secretly changing our way of life. In previous episodes, we've shown how Bill Shorten and the unions created GetUp, which has become the most powerful and radical political organisation in Australia, now boasting over 1 million members. We have shown that GetUp is part of an international network of radical left-wing activist groups that are controlled by a foreign organisation called Open. We have shown, using real-life examples, of how this network uses foreign money to manipulate political decisions in favour of their socialist agenda. And we have shown how they recruit and deceive everyday Australians into doing their dirty work for them. We've exposed the methods they employ to deceive their volunteers to unknowingly peddle lies and how they deceive vulnerable voters. In this episode, we will examine the tactics they are using in this federal election, aimed squarely at getting Bill Shorten and Labor elected, and we'll ask, what favours does GetUp expect in return?
One of the most troubling things about GetUp is that they smear centrist and moderate individuals as being so-called hard right in an attempt to move the political centre to the far left. And in doing so, they brand reasonable, everyday, hard-working Australians as being ultra-conservative. This has manifested itself in Australia, in particular in GetUp's campaign in the Warringah federal seat to try to unseat Tony Abbott. And indeed, one of GetUp's board members, Sarah Saley, was reported as saying that not only should Abbott be defeated, but, quote, that his existence is altogether offensive. How about that? To say that Abbott's existence is altogether offensive. So they want to not just defeat him in the seat of Warringah, they want to obliterate him entirely.
GetUp's goal has always been to wipe off the map any politician who holds mainstream values, and this strategy is continuing in the 2019 federal election. GetUp is doing this by deploying their volunteer resources and considerable finances against mainstream politicians in key marginal seats. GetUp volunteers from all over Australia are blitzing these electorates with personal telephone calls and door-knocking in the lead-up to the election. These volunteers rely wholly on information provided to them by GetUp, and chances are they have never even visited the area and know nothing of the issues facing people in these electorates. The information these volunteers use to speak with people in these electorates often contains lies and misrepresentations.
And to be called these names where you know that it's not true and accurate, to be called a white supremacist or a bigot or a Nazi and what have you, it's reasonably unfair. It shuts down the conversation.
GetUp was caught out recently when it was discovered that GetUp volunteers were directed to tell voters in the seat of Menzies that Minister Kevin Andrews is a supporter of gay conversion therapy. This was part of a personal attack against him and was a lie. Mr. Andrews has never been a supporter of such a therapy. This is not an isolated instance. GetUp director Paul Oosting was challenged in an ABC radio interview over another such script, which claimed that Minister Josh Frydenberg was part of a coup to oust former Liberal leader Malcolm Turnbull, when it was widely known that this was also a lie.
Which is factually wrong. Do you acknowledge that it's wrong or not?
Well, I don't think he became Deputy Prime Minister by accident, did he?
He's not Deputy Prime Minister. The leader of the National Party is.
Apologies. Finance Minister by accident.
Treasurer.
So
We'll
get there eventually.
Time and time again, they have been forced to face up to their lies and false claims, and yet they continue shamelessly. And GetUp has been widely condemned for a television advertisement that depicted Tony Abbott as a surf lifesaver refusing to help to save a drowning man just days after 2 surf lifesavers died trying to rescue drowning tourists.
GetUp have pulled an attack advert targeting Tony Abbott in his Sydney seat of Warringah.
As it happens, Mr. Abbott is a volunteer lifesaver and has been involved in numerous rescues. But that is not the point. It is the hateful nature of this personal attack. This establishes a deliberate pattern of behaviour whereby they seek to discredit incumbents, misrepresenting them by peddling deception, lies, and hate. So it is not just the politicians on GetUp's hit list who are the victims. It's the volunteers themselves. They join GetUp with the best of intentions, but are then used as pawns to defame politicians who don't share the socialist ideology of GetUp and their global network of radical left-wing activist organisations. It will be unprecedented in Australian political history that someone like Shorten can do a deal with a global network of radical left-wing activists, and using the methods and tactics employed by cults, bully and deceive their way into the lodge. It's hard to believe, but if Shorten wins the election this May, Australia's Prime Minister will be beholden to a global network of radical left-wing activists. It's time to wake up to GetUp.
Authorised by Benedet for Advanced Australia Limited, Brisbane, Queensland 4000.